and its relationship with Taiwan take the spotlight in the race for the White House. And going back to Columbine, students prepare to return to the scene of the worst U.S. school massacre in recent memory. From the CNN Center in Atlanta, this is WorldView. I'm Andrea Hall. A showdown between China and Taiwan may be growing more intense. A newspaper in China now reports the country has ordered a total mobilization of resources to isolate Taiwan. Another paper reports Chinese troops in Hong Kong have been placed on alert with attack helicopters and missile boats on 24-hour readiness. The United States has not indicated how it would respond if military action were taken against Taiwan, but Sunday, Republican leaders competing for the nation's top job offered their positions. China and Taiwan continue to edge closer to a possible military confrontation. Taiwan's President Lee Teng-hui abruptly elevated the tension last month by insisting China negotiate with Taiwan as a separate state. It has forced the issue into the spotlight in the United States. Republican candidates for the United States presidency are being questioned on how they would respond if China takes military action against Taiwan. All prefer a peaceful resolution.
I'd make it very clear that under the agreements that we've had before with China and Taiwan, Taiwan will have the means to defend itself and that force must not be used to resolve that issue. We have to make that clear to the Chinese. I'm not going to undermine Taiwan to try to preserve a relationship of appeasement. We need real rules of engagement with China, and then I think we can have a chance for a peaceful relationship.
Republican frontrunner George W. Bush criticized President Clinton in an interview with CNN, but did not say whether he would authorize a military response.
I think the president has made a mistake of calling China a strategic partner. I think he sent bad signals to China that says, well, if you decide to move aggressively against Taiwan, we won't act necessarily. And I think the next president needs to understand that China, while we can find some areas of agreement, such as opening their markets, that they need to be viewed as a competitor and a strategic competitor. And we need to be tough and firm, and we need to be very resolute about our position when it comes to Taiwan.
One Republican presidential candidate did commit to a position Sunday. Elizabeth Dole says she would use U.S. troops.
Would use all the powers of diplomacy and other initiatives. This would be a last resort. But indeed, if there were that kind of action on the part of the Chinese, that is an act of aggression. It would be met with President Dole trying to pull together the allies in an effort to address this with military action if necessary.
The only consensus among these candidates seemed to be that the United States must take a clear position. But not spelling out that position leaves China and Taiwan guessing, and tensions rising. One of the reasons this conflict is so important to the United States is that under the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S. is obligated to protect Taiwan. Joining us to talk more about that, Bruce Dixon, director of the Seeger Center for Asian Studies at George Washington University. Mr. Dixon, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Yes, we talked about the Taiwan legislation, the Relations Act, and it reads that the U.S. is to help maintain peace, security, and stability in the Western Pacific. We know that the states are obligated to Taiwan, but what does that really mean? Spell that out for us.
Well, it means that if there was a threat to Taiwan's security, that the U.S., according to the Taiwan Relations Act, would do what was necessary to keep it secure and stable and be able to defend itself. It hasn't very well spelled out in the Taiwan Relations Act, and hasn't been very spelled out in the course of U.S. policy, because the administrations, beginning with the current administration, has preferred to keep it more ambiguous so that Taiwan will not feel too secure and given a blank check, and therefore be more provocative, nor spelled out so that China would know exactly what the U.S. would or would not do. There's the idea of keeping it ambiguous so that both sides have to be careful.
And would you determine this potential conflict a direct threat at this point?
It's not quite clear exactly what China intends. There are clearly a strong viewpoint within China that it has to take some action to punish Taiwan for its current policy of seeking state-to-state relations with the mainland. What that response might be hasn't really been spelled out yet. Some people believe it has to be stronger than the 96 missile tests but exactly what that might be isn't clear yet. There have been hints this week about coming action. Most reports come out of the Hong Kong media, which is not very reliable. There's no doubt here in Washington that these threats are serious and need to be taken seriously, but exactly what China intends and when they intend to do it is not yet known.
Mr. Dixon, Taiwan's President Lee Teng-hui is insisting that China negotiate with Taiwan as a separate state. Why is this seemingly sudden insistence a pressure point for them?
China has always been extremely sensitive to the issue of Taiwan's independence and sees statements like this as having moving closer to a formal declaration of independence. From Taiwan's perspective, the reason that President Lee made this statement when he did about a month ago was that the government there felt pressure from the U.S. to start negotiating more seriously with the mainland, and the government there wanted to establish that it was not just a local government, what China calls a renegade province, but indeed it already is a separate self-governing area. It needs to have negotiations that are on the basis of equal partners, not as local to central government.
At this point, how has the U.S. responded?
So far, the U.S. has been trying to send the same message to both China and to Taiwan, which is that neither side should overestimate or underestimate U.S. position here, to try and get tensions to be reduced, to encourage China to not take military action, to get Taiwan to clarify its position, and there are clearly some people in the administration who would like China to abandon this current policy of state-to-state relations. There's been envoys sent to both China and to Taiwan to take that message. There have been phone calls back and forth, but so far there has nothing concrete, because there hasn't been a need to actually do more than just state the position to both sides clearly and repeatedly.
And in your view, is that enough for the United States at this point?
I think at this point it is. It's always a difficult situation for the U.S. to try and maintain stability there without seeming to be taking sides. There aren't a lot of real good options at this point. It's difficult to imagine a scenario under which Taiwan would willingly agree to unify with the mainland, given the political and economic differences. It's also difficult to envision a situation where China would accept Taiwan's independence. So there isn't much the U.S. can really do in terms of promoting some type of agreement, like as in Northern Ireland or the Middle East, where the U.S. was directly involved in brokering a deal. The two sides are so far apart, the room for compromise seems so small. The best that the U.S. can hope to do is maintain stability, prevent direct military conflict, and try and keep its positions known to both sides so they don't misinterpret our intentions.
All righty, Bruce Dixon from the George Washington University. Thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure.
All righty. A state of emergency is in effect in the breakaway Republic of Chechnya. As Russian troops continue fighting Islamic rebels in neighboring Dagestan, Russia says it bombed guerrilla sites in Dagestan just inside Chechnya Sunday as part of a stepped-up offensive. The rebels are seeking to make Dagestan an independent Islamic state. In the Mideast, no break in the deadlock holding up implementation of the Wye River Peace Accord. Israeli and Palestinian negotiators met for 6 hours Sunday, but failed to agree on a time frame for the next round of Israeli troop withdrawals from the West Bank. While both sides met, Palestinian police in the West Bank city of Hebron rounded up 100 members of the Islamic group Hamas in connection with a warehouse explosion that officials say was sparked by militants preparing a car bomb. In Northern Ireland, thousands of Catholics and Protestants joined in solemn ceremonies marking the first anniversary of that country's deadliest bombing. 1 year ago, a car bomb ripped through the main shopping district of Omagh, killed more than 24 people. John Draper has more.
A year to the day since the Omagh bomb, and thousands gathered in the town centre to remember those who died. Among them were relatives of the dead and survivors of the explosion. Northern Ireland Secretary Mo Mowlam and Irish Government Minister Liz O'Donnell were present. The political parties, including Sinn Féin, were also represented. But this was a day for the Omagh people themselves. Music from both traditions in Ulster opened the act of remembrance. At 3:10, the exact moment of the explosion, there was silence. The service was held in English, Irish and Spanish. A Spanish teacher and child had been among a party from Madrid caught up in the bomb. In all, 29 men, women and children were killed. One of the women was pregnant with twins. They too were remembered.
And for the unborn little ones whom we never saw.
For those who belonged here and those who came to visit.
For those who died.
And those for whom life will never be the same again.
Several people poured water symbolically to represent the tears shed for all Ulster's victims. Rita Restoric took part in memory of her son Stephen, the last soldier to be killed here. For many people in Omagh, this has been a difficult day, one that's brought back deeply painful memories. But 12 months on, they've once again come together to give each other support and to grieve in public. John Draper, ITN, Omagh.
Israel is the final resting spot for the late leader of Germany's Jewish community. Ignaz Bubis requested to be buried there, fearing an anti-Semitic attack on his grave had he been buried in Germany. That's what happened to the burial site of his predecessor. Bubis was a Holocaust survivor who became the chairman of Germany's Central Council of Jews in 1992. He died Friday at the age of 72. And just ahead here on WorldView, 4 months after a deadly shooting, the start of the school year at Columbine High.
McLennan?
No, I honestly know who it is.
Wait.
Marshall McLennan,
No, there are...
They're those...
No idea.
I don't.
I'm sure I've been asked this before.
Marsh and McLennan Companies. It's time we introduced ourselves.
Tonight on CNN and Time. Hate groups. Are they becoming more commonplace in this country?
Most of the hate groups out there today have become very savvy.
You may be surprised where new recruits are coming from.
The internet is the greatest thing that's ever happened for the racist movement.
The new face of hate. Plus, they come bearing treasures.
It's definitely Queen Anne.
Meet the Kino brothers helping mainstream America search for hidden treasures. CNN and Time. Tonight, 8, 7 Central.
CNNFN.com, the most dynamic force in business and financial information on the web, has just gotten faster and easier. Get the business news and market info you need in real time. Find stock quotes on every page, enhanced personal finance tips and tools, expert investment advice, personal portfolio tracking, and industry news, all right at your fingertips. For the ultimate in business, log on to the new CNNFN.com.
Now, get breaking news, no matter where it happens. See the interviews that'll make today's headlines, preview the markets, and get a jump on the business day. Catch the scores and the must-see highlights. Check the forecast, weather clear across America, and do it all before you head out the door. Early edition, first with the news you've been looking for. Weekdays, 7 Eastern on CNN.
On CNN's Business Unusual, less selection, more service, and dancing milk cartons. One grocery store's secret to success. Plus the Lauder Family's Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Today, 6:30 Eastern on CNN.
The start of a new school year is always a time of excitement mixed with apprehension, and nowhere is that more the case than at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. That school will reopen Monday for the first time since April's fatal shooting spree by 2 students. 13 people were killed, 23 injured before the gunmen killed themselves. CNN national correspondent Tony Clark joins us now from Littleton. Tony, Monday is a much anticipated day.
Very much so, Andrea. In fact, this will be a start of school like none other for the students at Columbine, because it is the first time that they've attended classes in the school since the shooting last April. In the 3.5 months since the shooting, there have been some $1.2 million worth of renovations to the school, many physical changes to the school. Broken windows have been replaced. The blood-stained carpet has been replaced. Walls have been painted inside the school. Bullet holes have been filled in the walls. Some 16 security cameras have been set up inside the school. There's also a panic button that's been set up and a card entry system. The library where most of the victims were shot and killed has been sealed off. Lockers have been put in front of it while a decision is being made about what to do about the library in the future. And the lockers of the gunmen in this case, Eric Harris and Dennis Klebold, are not being assigned this year. School officials said that they didn't want anyone to think that they had the lockers of those two men, the gunmen in this case. While the physical changes to the school are important, perhaps more important are the emotional changes to the students going to the school. Last night there was a rally attended by some 2,000 Denver area young people. The rally was described or titled Columbine and Friends. It was a Christian inspirational rally for the students, and I think the banner that hung over the stage perhaps said it best: victory, or rather victors, not victims. And it is the attitude that the school administrators and the students want as they head back into the school year, that they are winning this battle, that they are the victors and not the victims in this case. In fact, that will be the theme of a rally that starts before school tomorrow morning. It will be a rally in which the students, in the words of the principal, take back the school. The flag that has been at half-staff since the shooting will be raised, a ribbon will be cut, and the school year will get underway. Andrea?
Thank you, Tony. Other stories making news in our WorldView Minute. Jewish organizations in Los Angeles held a unity rally Sunday honoring those who helped rescue people from Tuesday's shooting at a Jewish community center. That shooting left 5 people injured. Meantime, authorities are looking into what they call a copycat crime at a synagogue in the Hollywood area. Someone spray painted a swastika and an anti-Jewish phrase near an entrance to the building. Thousands of ethnic Albanians filled the streets of Kominica Sunday to demonstrate against the presence of Russian peacekeepers in Kosovo. It's the 3rd straight day of protests there. Many carried American flags or banners hostile to the Russians. Protesters fear the Russians are more sympathetic to the Serbs than Kosovar Albanians. Celebrating got underway in India today to mark the nation's 52nd anniversary of independent rule. India and Pakistan both broke away from Britain in 1947. Since then, they have fought 3 wars. Sunday's festivities in India were marred by 4 terrorist attacks. India's Prime Minister used the occasion to say his country wants peace and Pakistan must stop the conflict over Kashmir. The Dalai Lama brought his message of peace and compassion to thousands of listeners Sunday in New York. An estimated 40,000 people sat in near silence in Central Park to listen to Tibet's exiled spiritual leader. The Dalai Lama is in the United States to deliver Buddhist teachings in New York and Indiana. Coming up next, fallout from the Iowa straw poll and one lasting impression of Iowa and Bruce Morton's last word.
Financial independence. It can mean doing the things you've always wanted to do. And if you're getting financial advice you can trust, the world can be your oyster. At Raymond James, we have no products to push or sales quotas to meet. So our only interest is in helping you maximize your financial success, which could lead to that dream vacation. Instead of a vacation, that's only a dream. Raymond James, committed to your financial future.
Monday on Larry King Live, an exclusive in-depth interview with the son of Sam.
I know I'm going to go to heaven.
David Berkowitz will be the guest, Monday 9 Eastern on CNN. on CNN Perspectives. For over 4 months in Lima, Peru, terrorists held dozens of people hostage inside the residence of the Japanese ambassador. While the world waited for a peaceful resolution, Peru's President Alberto Fujimori was making other plans. Now, the untold story of what went on behind the scenes during the hostage crisis in Peru. Endgame. CNN Perspectives. Tonight, 9 Eastern, on CNN.
They tried to assassinate the president. Now, they're going after his daughter.
We got company. What the hell was that? She's alive. She's going after those guys. Committing suicide trying to chase after her doesn't do anybody any good.
I think it's time to get your daughter back soon.
Mariel Hemingway, Doug Savant, Monica Keena, and Gregory Harrison in a Superstation original movie. First Daughter, 8 Eastern, tonight, only on the Superstation.
Hi, I'm watching you, CNN.
Republican presidential frontrunner George W. Bush has passed the first major test in the nomination process. Bush was the clear winner in Saturday's Republican straw poll in Iowa with more than 7,400 votes. He was followed by Steve Forbes, Elizabeth Dole, and Gary Bauer. Also among the top 8 finishers, Pat Buchanan, Lamar Alexander, Alan Keyes, and Dan Quayle. Former Tennessee Governor Lamar Alexander says he will decide in the next day or two whether to go forward with his campaign. He says he was disappointed with his 6th-place finish in Iowa. Some campaign officials say there will be a withdrawal announcement early in the week ahead. They say Alexander realizes it will be nearly impossible to raise the money needed to sustain his campaign. As the celebrations die down in Iowa, the candidates move on to the next stop. But our Bruce Morton looks at an issue that remains, the plight of the family farmer.
Well, the great Iowa straw caper is over. The results were easy for analysts. The man everybody thought was the front runner finished in front by a comfortable 10 points. The man everybody thought would finish second did, and so on. But after several weeks in Iowa this summer, I leave this state with an image not of any of the presidential candidates, but of the vanishing family farmer. It's not a new trend. A retired Des Moines Register reporter told me that when he came to the state 70 years ago or so, there were 225,000 farmers in Iowa. Now the number is fewer than 90,000, sinking rapidly. It's been an odd year here. Abundant crops, terrible prices. The presidential candidates all came and talked about emergency aid for the farmers, expand exports, and so on and so forth. And all of those might help at the margins. But the farmers I talked to said that what's really killing them is that they can't compete with agribusiness, with the giant corporations that control every step of the process, from swine breeding to selling pork chops to the supermarket. There's no way, one farmer told me, that I, just raising some pigs, can beat that system. I can't. He foresees a future in which he will, in effect, become an employee. The big company will give him piglets, he'll raise them, feed them their food, sell them to their packing house, and he can call himself independent if he wants to, but he'll really be working for them. Either that, he said, or I'll be in Des Moines with a job, doing this on the weekend, because I still love it. Of all the candidates, only one really spoke to this problem. That was Dan Quayle, who said Washington doesn't care about family farmers, that agribusiness is just fine. Probably nobody was listening. Quayle finished 8th out of the 9 who competed here, and the family farmer remains in desperate trouble. I'm Bruce Morton.
The first family is house hunting in New York. President Clinton, wife Hillary, and daughter Chelsea spent the day looking at homes in an affluent New York City suburb. It would be their first private home purchase since the 1970s, just before the Clintons began a long stay in the Arkansas governor's mansion and then the White House. Mrs. Clinton is weighing a possible run for the U.S. Senate in New York. We'll check the weather forecast ahead on WorldView, and then Tiger takes the title. Stay with us.
Do you want to stop by Dave's after the move?
Would you put your life on the line to change a flat? Each year, nearly 3,000 people die in roadside accidents. It's better to risk your rim than risk your life. Drive slowly to a safer area. Never attempt repairs on a narrow shoulder.
I'm okay.
For more safety tips, get this free book from Shell. Count on Shell.
Tuesday, CNN's late edition prime time with Wolf Blitzer. Informative, in-depth, and live from Washington, D.C. Late edition features today's biggest newsmakers.
The extent of the damage, how serious?
Hear what the experts say inside the Beltway and in hotspots around the world.
I think they were just saying, don't mess with it. Just don't screw anything up.
Call in your questions and go one-on-one with prime time talk that dares to be different. Late edition, prime time, Tuesday, 8 Eastern on CNN.
Log on to CNN.com.
More than just breaking news.
It's information you can use.
Planning a trip?
Get there with the lowest fare.
It's easy.
Book your flight, hotel,
and even get driving directions.
Where to eat, shop,
and play. CNN.com.
4-day weather forecasts.
Where you are and where you're going.
Thousands of cities worldwide.
Just choose a destination
and go.
Get it all at CNN.com.
In Japan, 2 people are dead, 15 still missing following massive floods in the region. 4 people were rescued from one site early Sunday as hundreds of searchers fanned across campsites. Rain-swollen rivers began spilling into the area Friday, trapping dozens of people at crowded campgrounds. Now turn to the weather. Jill Brown is in our weather center. And Jill, we've got hurricanes and heat waves. Hey, what's the deal?
It's summertime. It's late summertime, Andrea, and this is all pretty typical. But the heat wave does continue. It's in a smaller area today, but it's going to start growing again. And you can see exactly where it is, from 98 in Houston to 97 here in Oklahoma City. And Dallas, so far as I could see, has not hit 100 today. Not yet, anyway. We'll see. The heat index, though, is 104 in Oklahoma City. In Dallas, 107 is what it feels like in Houston. And down toward Victoria, 103 in Del Rio. So we had this kind of weather throughout much of the east now for weeks, and it's been shrinking a little bit, so that's helped. But boy, it looks like it's going to be a short-lived break from the heat. As a matter of fact, this is the only area that had a heat advisory today. How do things look for Monday? Well, hot again through the southeast as the 90s expand through Georgia and back into the Carolinas, back up toward Nashville, back up toward St. Louis. It'll be close. And we'll see those 100s in Texas for a few more days. We might catch a break here by about midweek. Precipitation mainly southeast and along this front heading eastward. As this heads across the Great Lakes into the northeast, that's our next chance of getting some rain where we really need it. So looking ahead to Tuesday along our front, showers and thunderstorms possible. Probably not widespread, probably not necessarily heavy, but we'll get a little bit. Notice how the 90s are quickly climbing northward. So a warm week with very little rain. Sounds familiar, doesn't it, Andrea?
Sure it does, Jill. Maybe there's always next week. Tiger Woods has won the PGA Championship. The 1997 Masters champ finished 11 under, just 1 shot ahead of Sergio Garcia. The win didn't look so certain when Woods cut his lead in half at the 16th hole. For full details on today's PGA Championship, you can log on to CNN SI's website at cnnsi.com. And that is it for this edition of WorldView. For our domestic viewers, the day's top stories are just 2 minutes away. I'm Andrea Hall. Thanks for joining us.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Bell Atlantic, your guide through the wiles of communications.
Monday on Larry King Live, an exclusive in-depth interview with the son of Sam.
I know I'm going to go to heaven.
David Berkowitz will be the guest. Monday, 9 Eastern on CNN. On CNN's Business Unusual, less selection, more service, and dancing milk cartons. One grocery store's secret to success. Plus the Lauder family's Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Today, 6:30 Eastern on CNN.
Tonight on CNN in Time, meet the Kino Brothers, helping mainstream America search for hidden treasures. CNN in Time, tonight 8, 7 Central.
Discover the beauty of Deco-style platinum jewelry exclusively at Walton's Antique and Estate Jewelry in downtown Franklin. Magnificent mountings, unsurpassed craftsmanship and quality, the beauty of Deco Platinum, diamonds, rubies, sapphires, emeralds and more. It's all here. The area's finest selection of Deco-style jewelry at Walton's Antique and Estate Jewelry on Main Street in historic downtown Franklin.
Here's Roy Williams of Williams Medical Supply.
Welcome to my store.
Your loved one's comfort and well-being are your first priority. Williams Medical Supply has state-of-the-art medical equipment and supplies to assure your